never stops. It's been a minute. I know it's been a minute. Uh, let me just say, let me just say, it was my birthday last week, this past week. Um, and your boy was outside. Your boy was enjoying himself, some self care. Um, spent some time with some beautiful people, some beautiful spaces. But I'm back. I'm back. I've been keeping track. I've been keeping track. End of the night, you get in, jump on your phone, kind of scroll, see how they did in summer league, see how guys were doing here and there. You know what I mean? I've been keeping track of the conversations and what's been going on. But I think one of the opportunities right now to kind of take a look at this off season is to be able to say, let's tap in, kids. Let's tap in. Let's tap in. Um, because after the end of the summer league, this is pretty much the end of the summer league. Right now, the guys who've played the best are kind of being sat. The guys who they still want to see something from haven't maybe had an opportunity. Mostly summer league teams are like 15, sometimes 20 players deep. Sometimes guys shuffle around where they may start off on one summer league team and end up on another, halfway through the, Vegas summer league. And so we've pretty much seen everybody that we are going to really care about when it comes to an NBA roster. And so I'm doing a check-in. I'm doing part 3 of the NBA offseason. I'm going to be going through the Detroit Pistons, where I think that this team is at. And then I'm going to go through the rest of the Eastern Conference and then touch on some of the Western Conference teams as well. Before I dive in, if you are enjoying this video, please smash the like button. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing. It really helps out the channel, helps out with the YouTube algorithm, lets them know that you enjoy doing live interactive content with me. Um, and it makes sure that you get notified whenever I get on next. Let me look up. Oh, Joe B, what's good, man? What's going on, man? Um, well, just got a response to a YouTube comment from someone where they said Chaz Lanier was the wrong pick already. So Pistons fans are just as rotten as usual. I always say that there's different layers of fans. Some fans are, I would say, fair weather. Then there's the diehard, right? Both have their drawbacks. Diehard fans, they'll follow a team through thick and thin, even when they should have just walked away, right? Like the Charlotte Hornets, Sacramento Kings. Sometimes it's okay to walk away. You can always come back. And then there's the fair weather fans. They come and go with just about any excuse. There's the novice random fan who really only watches when it's a popular moment. Maybe it's a playoff run, or there's somebody who's really good, and they're like, "Oh, okay, it's kind of a thing to do to go see a game or tune in." And then there's fans who watch for the love of the game, right? And they're watching all the time. And I would say I'm in that bracket. I just love the game. And so those fans tend to have more of a critical view, but they also have more understanding because there's more exposure to understanding the game. There's more awareness of why this might be happening versus this over here. And so there's a little bit more nuance in their conversation. But people who just wholesale say people are bad, I just think like, okay, you don't really, you're not really tracking the game. You don't really understand what you're saying. This is the NBA, right? Your end of the roster guy in the NBA could be, all-star or potential MVP in the EuroLeague. Literally. Literally. And so this is the greatest league in the world. Talent-wise, excitement. It's not to say there aren't other exciting leagues. I think G League, Spain, France, right? Turkish league. They all have some exciting games. Even China, the big three, right? You have a lot of other NCAA. You have a lot of other, NYBL is going on right now. There's a lot of other spaces where there's good basketball. But the NBA is the cream of the crop by far. It's not even close. Um, so let me just say this. What I would say that the Detroit Pistons should take away from this summer league is that Ron Holland is ready to become a key contributor to the bench rotation. Now, when I say key contributor, keep in mind, most of your starters are going to play anywhere from 28 to 32 minutes, if not 35, 36 minutes a game. If you have good depth, they're playing closer to 32. If you have great depth, like in the whole Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart type of situation, they might almost be splitting the game minutes in half. But it's to say that the bench, at a maximum, if you're coming off the bench, generally you're only playing about maybe 20 to 24 minutes if you're a great bench role player. If you are a high level bench rotation player, you're playing 20 minutes a game. So that contextualizes it when I say that Ron Holland is ready to become a main bench contributor, a trusted rotation piece. That's what he's kind of looking at. 15 to 20 minutes a game. Now, that is significant because of what he brings. And I think that when we saw the summer league, we saw a guy who had refined who he was, right? The three-point shooting, we knew that he was going to be able to um, improve over time. The ball handling, maybe some of the playmaking, the shot creation, getting downhill, the defense in transition, defense in the passing lanes, rebounding, all these different things that I think we saw in him in flashes and were excited about. He has just amplified to be able to do at a high enough level for the NBA, right? Uh, and so where we kind of have him, or where I would say I have him pigeonholed, is he's going to be the backup power forward. He's going to be the backup power forward. I still, as always, am a Marcus Sasser fan. He didn't play in Summer League, so I'm trusting he's been working on his game just as much as Marcus Sasser has, just as much as everyone else has. I think he's going to be a 15 to 20 minutes per game backup guard, combo guard off the bench. And really not even a combo guard. I think he's going to be more of a Lou Williams scoring guard. You know, Lou Williams at his peak of his powers, he could get you 5 to 7 assists, much like a Malik Monk can get you 5 to 7 assists. You would by no means call him a point guard, right? You would in no way classify him as a facilitator, primary table setter for his team. But it doesn't mean that he can't generate assists. I think Marcus Sasser is going to be very similar. Now he's 6'2". I think Malik Monk is somewhere around 6'3", 6'4", right? You have Lou Williams was around 6'2", maybe a little bit more lanky, but I think Marcus Sasser is a little bit more like quick bursty in small tight spaces. But as I say, I think he's going to be that type of a guard who basically is brought in to score, and he'll generate some assists out of that. So I'm still a believer in that regard. But I think the bench unit is going to look like Sasser, Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart. I think that is a great bench. I think when you look at that bench unit and you go up and you look at almost any other team, right? Like let's say you look at Indiana. Let's just look at the teams in our division. You look at the Indiana Pacers and you think about their bench rotation. Their bench rotation is going to look like something around TJ McConnell. I would say Ben Shepherd, Jarris Walker, Obi Toppin, and maybe Isaiah Jackson. Right? I think we have just as much talent, if not more. If not more. The best player coming off their bench is probably going to be, in my estimation, probably Jarris Walker and TJ McConnell. And Obi Toppin. But I think Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, and Ron Holland and Isaiah Stewart are going to add just as much pop. And I would say probably more defense, along with shooting, etc., and positional size. Right? We can go to the Milwaukee Bucks. If you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, you can look at their bench unit. It's going to look something like Ryan Rollins, Jericho Sims, uh, maybe AJ Green, and it kind of falls off. Maybe Gary Harris, or Cole Anthony, Torian Prince, Bobby Portis, kind of a bunch of guys that are like, you really, you know, you're hoping for the best, but really kind of one trick ponies and maybe not the best defense, if I'm honest. You can look at the Chicago Bulls. I'm only going to go through through the bench units for teams that are within our division. Let's look at the Chicago Bulls. You got Zach Collins. Probably say Kevin Herter, Isaac Okoro, Al Dasumu, maybe Noah Singe get some minutes there, and then you got what's his name, Jalen Smith. Okay, that's that's solid. You got some size, you got some athleticism, right? And then I would say, lastly, mm, who's the other team that I'm missing from our division? Uh, Milwaukee, Chicago, Indiana. There's one more. Um, dang it, I always forget. Is it Charlotte? Charlotte's not in our division. No. I'm tripping. I usually know this. Either way, somebody let me know in the chat section. Mosen, what's good, man? I think the Pistons should be in on Oladipo. Really, as a backup. He may not be impactful, but it's a low risk, high reward scenario. There is a world where he outperforms Ivy. He was all defensive. Bro, stop. Stop. Mosen, for real. For real. For real. For real. For real. Stop. Don't. Why? Are you seriously talking about bringing in a guy? I'm not. It's nothing against Oladipo, but it's the logic that he could outperform Jaden Ivey. If that's the premise of the move, I think that's where I'm out on it. Jaden Ivey's gonna be just fine. I think he's gonna be great. I think he's gonna be great. Pacers bench is actually nasty, even if Matherin moves to a starter. Yeah, I think it's a good bench. A bit kind of one trick pony, a bit undersized. TJ McConnell, Ben Shepherd. I like the size with Jarris Walker and Obi Toppin and Isaiah Jackson. Good athleticism, but I wouldn't say I'm looking at a high scoring bench. Maybe some good defensive potential on that bench, but they kind of need someone to play make for them. And it'll be interesting to see what the offense looks like without Tyrese Halliburton. That is a question they haven't answered yet. All to say is that I still think Detroit has just as good of a bench, if not better, with the positional size, the speed, the athleticism, the versatility. When you combine that with our starting lineup, I think we have just as good of a bench as the best bench units in the league. But you see, when you go beyond the team that just got out of the NBA finals, you have a lot of teams that you would look at and say, like, I don't know if they have much of a bench. Milwaukee, I see some guys, Gary Harris, Bobby Portis. But when you get down to like Ryan Rollins, I mean, maybe Torian Prince is a solid bench guy also, so that's three. But they're also depending upon guys that you haven't necessarily known what you're going to get from them when they're expected to give something. Now, maybe Cole Anthony is a pick for them. You know, there's some guys that could surprise us, but I would say I still like our bench unit better. The big wild card I would say for us is just what is Marcus Sasser going to bring? If he comes in and he looks like an absolute bucket, and he's the type of guy who, as we saw in his very first summer league, which I think is more of an indication of who he is than his second summer league and last season. I think if he comes in and he's a guy who can drop 40 points in a game at any moment, right? Which he did in summer league, right? Which he had, multiple 20-point games, I believe, as a rookie, right? And then showed all the promise in the world, or at least the flashes last year in his sophomore season. I think if he fine tunes that style of play, that game for himself, he's going to be a huge addition where he can be instant offense. He's a guy can almost play similar to how we played Malik Beasley. When he came in, he was gunning. I don't think Sasser will shoot as much because I think he has far more to his game. He's got the mid-range pull-up. He's got a lot off the bounce. He can run pick and roll effectively. He can find the cutter in the weak side. He can also dump off. He can finish extremely well around the rim. He's got a floater. He's got all of that. He can finish with both hands. I think he's going to be a high level scorer. And if he shows he can definitively be that, bro, forget about it. We're gonna be we're gonna be so nice because I know what Duncan Robinson is gonna give us. I know what Karis LeVert is going to give us. I know what Isaiah Stewart is going to give us. Ron Holland, I think he's going to give us an amplified version of what he did last season in more minutes. The hustle, second chance shots, the defense, transition, straight line drives, knock down open threes. That should get him somewhere to around 10, maybe to 12 points per game. Um, maybe 2, 3 rebounds, 1.5, 2 assists a game, maybe a steal. Like he's gonna fill up that stat sheet. Uh, I think we have a solid five, but I think that's where I think if you said bring in Oladipo as that third, fourth guard off the bench to say like he can play that pseudo ball handling, shot creating role as a third guard, not to take Sasser's spot, but in case of like knock on wood injuries, I always say injuries happen. It's a part of the game. That's why you have depth. And so if you bring in Oladipo to be that third, fourth guard on the bench, to be number 14, 15 on your bench, sure, I could see that. But I don't think he's played in like a year, bro. So, but I do like that he's a veteran. I do like that he's been at a high level. He's been an all-star, right? He's been someone who knows what it means to take your game to that next level. I think he might be great in a locker room. Um, and he's a veteran once again on this team that can kind of show guys the ropes. Veteran minimum, I'm not mad at it. But it's not in case of an Ivy situation. That I throw out, right? We get to some of these other comments here. Uh See, honestly, Karis LeVert is a great 1 through 3 guard. Yes, to run next to Sasser whenever he gets minutes. Pretty decent defense, scoring ability, and length. And I think this was something that Trajan Langdon pointed out. He said, I think we got far better this offseason in terms of our size, our positional size off the bench. And that's significant. You need positional size that's athletic, that has length, that can guard different positions, which gives you versatility in how you are going to play against teams that are going to present different problems. Some teams are slowing it down, some teams are speeding it up. Some teams are going to be heavy on the interior, some are going to be heavy on the perimeter, right? Some are going to be teams that are defensive. You're going to need shooters. There's other teams that are going to be more of an offensive team where you're going to need guys with length who can defend and run around on the court, right? I just dropped a short earlier today talking about why there's so many Achilles injuries. And I said that it's because of the Stephen Curry era effect, that teams are playing beyond the 3-point line more than ever, which means that the added steps, the added running it takes to defend actions all along that 3-point line, whether it's down screens, whether it's a guy fading to the opposite corner, covering and closing out on a guy in the opposite corner, whether it's ball screens and dribble handoffs and pick and rolls or pick and pops, a trail three, right? Like bigs now have to defend the rim and a 3-point shooting trail big. You know how hard that is to defend the rim and a big who might be at the 3-point line. Like that's crazy hard. No one has to do that but centers, right? Like nobody's asked to do that but centers. So it's like the game is extended far more than ever. And so guys are running more than ever. So having depth is essential. You got to be able to rest guys. You got to be able to see when there's signs that guys are getting tired, that guys are a little bit fatigued or guys are slowing down. Somebody needs a break, right? How do you minimize the minutes, especially early in the season, so that guys can save their legs? I said that I would gather players are running anywhere between 45 to 65% more than they were in the 90s and maybe the early 2000s. They didn't have to cover the 3-point line in the same way. They could get back and just cover the paint, close out on a guy who they thought was a definitive shooter, right? Like if you had a guy that you knew was a shooter, that's what they do, right? Okay, close out on him. But pretty much everybody else was scoring from the mid range or trying to work the offense to get a shot at the rim. So you can somewhat get back and kind of rest a little bit. You could sit, take a deep breath, and sit. There's no more sitting. When you get back on defense, you're immediately having to locate shooters. Immediately seeing action ran 10 feet above the 3-point line, having to turn around and cover and rotate and face. It's a completely different game. So depth is needed more than ever. Let me see. Uh, oh, Stephen. Oh, what's good, Stephen? I've been telling people that deep benches matter. Yep, I feel like a major problem has been blown leads from bad, insufficient bench units. I agree. I agree, and that's throughout the league. Pacers bench is actually nasty, even if math. Yes, I would say it's pretty good. The premise of Oladipo move is there are not expectations. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Milwaukee is down bad, man. You sound like you're trying to be nice when talking about their guards. I mean, I have hope. I'm very optimistic. Okay, I'll give you that. I'm very optimistic. I like Kevin Porter Jr.'s talent. I think with Doc Rivers there, a year with Damian Lillard, you still have Giannis. You got some veterans on that team. I think they can surround him with the support, right? To be able to grow as a man, as a person, as a human being, his character, his ability to be consistent, to be responsible, to take care of himself and do the right things, right? Self care, walk away from a difficult situation, right? See a relationship that is not good for you and where you're trying to go, right? Like, not be anywhere near situations that prevent you from consistently showing up within your craft and this opportunity, which is playing a professional sport. Because it is an opportunity, bro. It is a flash in the pan in comparison to the rest of your life, right? You got the first 30 years to do something. And if you're lucky, you might get to 35, 36. And then you got another 60 years. You got another 60 to 70 years of life to live, depending upon how you live it, right? So it's to say, make the most of this. Make the most of it. Because when it's over, bro. Just ask Michael Beasley. When it's over. Right? You got the big three, kind of extends it a little bit. I could definitely see Kevin Porter Jr. doing a big three because he just looked like he just loved to play. Speaking of big three, I would love for Lou Williams and maybe Jamal Crawford to be out there too with the big three. That would be that'd be crazy. I don't know if y'all been seeing the big three, man. With Lance Stevenson out there, Dwight Howard mixing it up with them boys, man. Still dunking on cats, right? Like it's a pretty fun watch, man. It's a pretty fun watch. I ain't even gonna call it. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty fun. All that's to say, I think Kevin Porter Jr. is gonna be all right. And I think he could be a 16 points, 7 assists, uh, knock down 3 to 4 threes a game, be a high level playmaker. But he's a problem for the league because he's the type of talent that is really hard to contain. When he has his head on straight, when he's focused, when he's locked in, his talent, talking about his quick twitch. And we had a whole thing about this in a previous live. Somebody was trying to be like, oh, he sucks. I was like, bro, have you seen him? Have you seen Kevin Porter Jr.? He gives you the work. There's very few guards who are as shifty with the handle and as explosive athletically. Very few. That's the Ja Morants. Uh, maybe Scoot Henderson is shifty and can dunk on you. But there's very few of those guards. We haven't seen guards that could do that since maybe like Derrick Rose, right? I would say Westbrook, but Westbrook really wasn't as shifty. So he's got talent. I'm gonna wait till I see it. I'm gonna do a list in a little bit of where I think the Eastern Conference kind of ranks. Um, but I think the Pistons are in a great position. They're in a great position. Let me get some of these comments, and then I'm gonna get through the rest of the East. And maybe we start with our division and kind of talk about what our division rivals have done and what I think of it, and then also where we stand in terms of the ranking of the East after the end of summer league. Because I think that it's been more than enough time for the general amount of trades to be done. I know there's certain guys that are still kind of lingering out there. You have what's his name? Jonathan Kaminga is still kind of lingering. He hasn't signed anywhere yet, hasn't been traded. And I think that that's imminent. He is someone who can shift. a team, he can man, you put him on a certain team, their talent level rises, their ceiling rises. So he's one of those dominoes that hasn't fallen yet, right? Uh, but it's to say, for the most part, most teams are just about done. They're filling in roster spot number 15, 14, 15, getting their two-way contracts, kind of know who's coming to training camp or not. Um, and so we can have this kind of rehashing of the summer. There's going to be another one I'm going to do after training camps, and maybe going into preseason. And then I'll do another one, and then I'll do my last off season and then season preview after preseason. Okay. But let's get into. Oh, actually, let me get to some of these comments first. Um, I agree on everyone but Duncan Robinson. He definitely a wild card, and that's if he finds his fit in the rotation. Duncan Robinson is more than going to find his fit. Please believe Duncan Robinson is probably going to be the most easiest fit on this team. He'll be the easiest. He's a shooter that brings in high level movement shooting at a really high level, like really high level, really high level. And the fact that he can also put the ball on the floor and he's developed the ability to kind of play make out of those dribble handoffs, curling off of screens, catching the ball. He gets closed out. There's a lot of pressure on his backside. He can drive to the basket at 6'8", right? The positional size I was talking about, right? He is someone you could bring in and he generates offense just through his shooting ability and ability to play make with the ball in his hands after catching. So I think he fits in seamlessly. Karis LeVert is a little bit harder because guys have to learn how to play around him. Right? Guys have to learn how to like, okay, he's shifty like this. He's looking to create these type of looks for himself, but he's also somewhat injury prone. So it's like he'll be there, he may not be there. And I'm not sure how good he is defensively still, but I think he should be solid enough. And this is a culture of defense, so I'm sure he will kind of fall in line in that regard. Uh, but I think he's the easiest fit in terms of Duncan Robinson off the bench. And then also Marcus Sasser, he's been there, so they kind of know what to expect from him and Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart. Uh, but yeah, all right. So let's dive into it. I did a list. I want to say, when did I do this list? Did this list Eastern Conference, um, maybe about a week or so ago, and I've been updating it since. Uh, I still have the Cavaliers and the Knicks ranked above us in terms of this offseason. I think the New York Knicks. Well, let me just go through each roster at a time. Let's go with the Cleveland Cavaliers first. Cleveland Cavaliers, I think, are also going to be uh, top in the East. I see them somewhere around 50 plus wins, potentially close to 60, but I think probably 50 plus wins. They may try to rest guys a little bit more to make sure that they're healthy for the playoffs. But the fact that they added Lonzo Ball, I think was huge, huge for them, huge. And they still have DeAndre Hunter. They still have Dean Wade. They have last year's first round draft pick, Jalen Tyson. They got Craig Porter Jr., Sam Merrill, Larry Nance Jr. And I really like Tyrese Proctor that they were able to grab out of Duke. 6'5", combo guard, can run some point, play make, shoot, etc. They have a deep bench. And I think more than ever, especially with the addition of Lonzo Ball, they have depth at the guard position and in the front court that is going to allow them to sustain themselves through what seems for them like imminent injuries. Like I'll put it this way: a healthy Lonzo Ball on this team last playoff run, I think gets them through that second round. A healthy Lonzo Ball gets them through the second round of the playoffs because of his defense, his facilitating, his ability to make the game easy, positional size. He's someone I could see playing really important minutes for them. But the thing is, you don't know what you're going to get from him this year. But it's still to say that I don't think there's going to be a drop off. I do like Craig Porter Jr. as well. I also like Jalen Tyson as well. And these are guys who are going to be able to play that guard position and spell Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. And then Larry Nance Jr., Cleveland native. His father played there. I think lived there. Larry Nance grew up there, so he's definitely a fan favorite. But he's a very smart veteran front court player, right? He isn't the athlete he used to be when he first got into the NBA, but he's someone who can knock down threes, someone who can rebound effectively, defend effectively, good communicator, great veteran. Somebody's just it's just he's always a positive addition on your team. I think this bench is better this year than it was last year. So I don't expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to fall off much. I expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to be right there, say anywhere between 57 and 62 games this season. The next team, New York Knicks. And let me know if you think, my ranking is where you have it or not. See if anybody said anything. Um, yeah, people thought Beasley was, yeah, before this last season. They did. They did. They did. And I don't think anybody would question if Duncan Robinson is better than him. Forget about the volume that he hit last season, and he almost won the 3-point shots made crown. Um, he's just better. Duncan Robinson is a better rebounder, better defender. He's 6'8" instead of 6'3". He shoots with the same level of confidence, volume, gravity. And I think playing with Cade Cunningham and now Jaden Ivey and Duran and Stewart, like in that offense with those guys, I think he gets similar looks. Remember, Cade and Ivy are huge defensive magnets. They have an incredible amount of gravity that forces defenses to have to pick their poison. And a shooter like Duncan Robinson coming in off the bench, I think is someone who's going to be able to eat, absolutely eat. Like in Miami, the offense was centered around getting off a bunch of 3-point shots. And so the defenses were kind of focused on them. Like the defense wasn't really focused on Bam Adebayo. They weren't worried about Bam getting 25 a game. Tyler Hero make, go on and get your 24. I don't think anybody was scared of that. But when you got Cade Cunningham and his floor vision, his playmaking ability, his size, he's probably going to come in even stronger this year. I think he's going to be that much more definitive in his shot creation. And I'm going to talk about the Pistons in a moment. I think he opens up so much for guys. I think Duncan Robinson is going to have a great year playing alongside of him. But let's get to the Knicks, though. The Knicks, they grabbed Gershom Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson. Look, let me just say those two alone. Yabusele is one of those veteran guys you don't ever really look for. And then at the end of the game, he's got 8 points, 5 rebounds, 1 or 2 assists, maybe a block or a steal, great efficiency, and his plus minus looks amazing. He helped you win every single night. I think he's going to be a great addition to this team. Great addition. They're still bringing back Miles Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson, to round out the bench. They also have Tyler Kolek, who looked really good for spurts last season, even though he didn't really get the playing time from Tom Thibodeau. I think he gets more of a look this year. I fully expect the New York Knicks to run out a 10-man bench, a 10-person bench. It's going to be Deuce. It's going to be Clarkson. It's going to be, I was almost going to say PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is going to be like break in case of emergency type of deal. You're still going to have Mitchell Robinson, and you're going to have Gershom. So between Gershom, Mitchell Robinson, Deuce, and Clarkson, it's a solid 9-man rotation. I think they still have to figure out some of that bench. But I'll say this. The fact that they got Mike Brown, I am betting on an improved offense in terms of being spread out alongside the other shooters, alongside the other scorers. I think we see, what's his name? Bridges, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby more of a ready part of the offense. They're not kind of left out while Jalen Brunson does his thing. I think Jalen Brunson definitely sees a drop in his minutes played per game. And this team probably has an improved defense, especially with Yabusele and a full season of Mitchell Robinson. I expect this team to defend at a high level, score at a high level, and they have more depth and scoring pop off the bench, right? Like they had, I think, a starting unit that could score with anybody. They didn't necessarily have a bench they could rely upon to score with anybody. Jordan Clarkson is one of them ones off the bench. He's one of them ones. He is 10 to 12 on a bad night, rough night. Could be over 20 points in a game at any point in time. I think New York's going to love him. He's an electric player. He's an exciting player. And I think he's looking forward to an opportunity to play under the bright lights. He started with the Los Angeles Lakers, bounced around. He was in Cleveland. And then he was also in Utah recently. So, hey, I'll tell you this much. If I was in Utah last year and you tell me I get to go to New York, my family's from Brooklyn. I'll tell you right now, New York is live, bro. It's live. And if you famous, you got bread, you young, handsome, you know what I mean? You out here stunting on them, you know what I mean? Like, New York is the place to be. And you want to play well in the Garden. Because you play well in the Garden, things just open up for you, bro. You ain't no waiting in line. Folks is buying you stuff, patting you on the back. Like, it is a beautiful space to be in New York, and the Knicks are winning, and you are a major part of it. It's a beautiful life out there when that's the situation. But I think they will have championship expectations, and I expect a big year from them. So I think they're going to be somewhere in between, I would say, like 53 and 57 wins. I think that's where the New York Knicks are kind of destined to be next season. I would not be shocked if they're neck and neck with the Cleveland Cavaliers for the number 1 seed in the East. The next team that I had is the Detroit Pistons. And I forecasted, I said 44 to 46 wins next season. That was my original forecast. And then people kept saying 50 to 53 wins. And I was like, man, that's kind of stretching it. But I've got them as the number 3 seed, or the third best team in the East right now as currently constructed. Right now. I have to maybe rethink what our win total is going to look like. Because I asked this question, I said, what if everyone else on this roster of the young core takes the same leap that we've seen from Ron Holland from last season in his summer league to this summer league? And what he's able to do, what he's able to contribute, how he looks, the refinement of his game. What if Jaden Ivey takes another jump from what we saw last season? Let's say he's that much more confident playing alongside Cade Cunningham. He continues to be a great point of attack defender, right? And when I say great, I mean he's the type of point of attack defender, has so much size, teams rarely are looking to attack him. They're looking to get their main playmaker a screen to get him off of him. But the problem is you run into even better, bigger defenders. It's going to be a problem for the league to score on the perimeter against the Detroit Pistons. A problem. And I think if Jaden Ivey takes that next jump, Cade Cunningham, Ausar Thompson, they pick up the speed of the game. They're getting out in transition. They kind of get down that, continuity of the moment we get a rebound, we're already looking up for Ivey and Ausar, right? Ausar Thompson starting the season instead of coming in December with a huge minutes restriction, where he's getting like 8 to 10 minutes in a game for the first month. Imagine if Ausar Thompson's getting 28 to 32 minutes in a game from the beginning, what that looks like. And then let's say he takes a little bit of a jump in terms of his ball handling, right? Now when he sees that seam and he's about to explode into it, he's not losing his handle. Or when he gets to the rim, He isn't in that kind of like, oh shoot, what do I do? How do I finish right now? He already knows what he's going to, right? I'm finishing like this off the glass, right? With either hand, right? I'm making this read, right? He knows where to look for Cade. Cade knows how to play off of him. Ivy knows how to play off of him, right? And I said that is the jump that JB Bickerstaff needs to take. He needs to take creating an offensive system that allows all those guys to shine. Not just Cade, no more heliocentric offense, right? Now you've got even greater talents than the Tim Hardaway Jr. of last season. You now have Jaden Ivey. You don't have a Sar where you're kind of just like, let me see what he could do. No, you know what he could kind of do out there, right? You have to this. Okay, dope. I got some top fans in here. I'm looking at some of these features that they got on here. It says like top fans. Okay. Hey Joe Baby is my number one fan on here. Mosin 9349, second leading fan. Okay. Stephen Bunk. Okay, all right, all right. That's dope. That's dope. I appreciate it. Let me see. Joby, he got played off the floor in the playoffs, sure. Though for the past 2 years, they had Tyler Hero as a point guard and no Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. That's very true, right? Duncan Robinson looks very different when he has a high level playmaker on the team that can create opportunities for him. Was there any doubt though? Let me say this. If the Detroit Pistons make the jump that we already see from Ron Holland, right? He cleaned up so much of the fringes and the edges of guys who are kind of, how would you say it? Uh, some of the static, some of the extra, some of the making a play and like it doesn't look good, kind of make those he cleaned that up. Now when he does what he does, it looks good. It looks really good. Like I don't think he's gonna be doing any like pick and roll stuff this year or any shot creation stuff. Maybe every once in a while, but I don't think they're gonna use him for that. He's gonna be in the same role, but he's gonna get more minutes and it's gonna look really good. Imagine if everyone else takes that jump. All the little things that we saw, like sometimes Jaden Ivey didn't seem sure of himself, what he was looking for, what he could do out there. No, he knows exactly what he's looking for. He's coming off of those screens, looking for his shot. He's going to be a 5 to 7 threes per game type of guy, getting downhill, looking for his shot. All of a sudden now he's putting together the floater game, the pull-up jumper, right? A little bit more in between. His game's going to be cleaned up. Jalen Duren. Imagine if what we saw in the finals. In the finals. Hang on one second. Hey, mommy. I'm going to make you something to eat in a little bit. I got some food on the stove for you. Hang on.
That's kind of too late.
I got you, mommy. I got you.
What do you mean? I actually already kind of made this.
Then just hold it right there.
What?
Just save it. Save it.
Alright.
I got you. But yeah. So I think the Detroit Pistons are going to take a jump, and I probably need to relook at their. I probably need I need to adjust, but I want to see what they look like after training camp and in preseason. I think preseason is going to tell us a lot. I think we're going to go out there and we're going to see preseason with that starting lineup: Cade, Ivy, Asar, Harris, Duren, and they're going to look amazing. And I think at that point in time, I wouldn't be shocked if I come away with it saying this team is going to win 50 to 53 games. Which is going to be huge, man. A 50-win season for the Detroit Pistons. I can't remember the last time they had a 50-win season. If I had to guess, it might have been. Was that when Blake Griffin got them into the playoffs? Dragged them into the playoffs? Somebody let me know in the comment section. When was the last time the Detroit Pistons won 50 games in a season? And if they do, I would not be shocked if they don't also have uh, a second All Star. I can completely see. Look, if Jalen Duren does what he did in the playoffs this year, I'm talking 16 points, 12 rebounds. 07, 08 was the last time they had 50 wins. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. Almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. That's 18 years, bro. 18 years since they've had a 50 win season. So I would not be shocked if they also don't have a second All Star. Jalen Duren averaging, let's say, 18 and 12, right? If he cleans up getting into foul trouble, right? Which he showed he could do. He showed he could do that, especially in the playoffs, and still playing defense, getting you, maybe 2 blocks in a game, or maybe a block and a steal a game, plus 12 boards, plus scoring anywhere between 16 to 20 points a game, high efficiency, knocking down free throws, expanding offensive game, right? That could be the type of player that sneaks into an all-star game. That could be the kind of Jarrett Allen level all-star, Miles Turner level all-star that gets in on the back end. Maybe Joel Embiid is still hurt or he doesn't play the necessary amount of games, right? Stuff like that. But I also could see Jaden Ivey, you know, Jaden Ivey could get up to 21, 22 points per game next season on good efficiency, volume threes, 50 win pace, a team that gets out the blocks fast, looks good out the gate. And all of a sudden, Cade and Ivy look like shoe-ins for the All-Star game, right? I could completely see that. So I think that is something I'm going to wait until after I see what they look like in the preseason. And I think at that point, we're gonna know. Now, the next couple of teams, I'm gonna fly through them a little bit. I kind of have them in a general bracket, and it's a deep bracket. It's a deep bracket. It's gonna go Celtics, Hawks, Raptors, Pacers, Magic, Bucks, Sixers, Heat. I think all those teams. No, I don't play 2K. Nah, I don't, bro. Cause I get too into it, and then I'm gonna be there all day, like my GM, my team. I'm developing guys. I'm doing all that stuff. That's not a good look. Oh, they doing fireworks. Hang on. They must be celebrating my birthday. Yeah, they be doing fireworks all sorts of time. Yeah, I feel you. Rots your brain. Yeah, bro. It's just I be feeling like I'm getting hustled when I be on media too long. I feel like I'm getting got. Like, man, you don't want me to be thinking about anything else. So I'd be like, nah, I can't do it. But all to say, I think literally all those teams could end up anywhere between, I would say, 38 wins and 48 wins. All those teams could end up between 38 and 48 wins. All those teams. All those teams. Which is crazy because I think usually we are used to that in the Western Conference, where what separates, let's say, a number 9 seed play-in team and the 4th seed in the playoffs is like a game, 2 games, 3 games, you know, 4 games back, you slipped up down the stretch, and all of a sudden, you know, you're the 8th seed, 9th seed, and then the 4th seed is only 2 games above you, 3 games above you, right? So I think it's going to be an extremely deep, deep East. I even see teams like the Hornets, the Wizards, the Bulls. I think those teams are going to be solid, real solid. Like when I say real solid, I mean they could have turnarounds. They could have guys who surprise you, right? Matas Buzelis could take a jump. Um, they've got guys like Io DeSumo, right, who's due for another jump. They've got guys like Kevin Herter, who's going to have a full training camp. They're going to have more depth. Josh Giddey playing for his contract, he might just take the whatchamacallit, uh what is it when the team could extend you a restricted free agency. He might just take whatever that offer is, and say, hey, I'll look at unrestricted and take my chances, right, and bet on myself, right? Qualifying offer, thank you. He might just take the qualifying offer. But either way, he's going to be in the fold. He's going to have another training camp. He still has Kobe White right there, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic. They're going to have a lot of continuity. They still got their coach, right? Like, they could turn things around. They literally could. And then you got teams like Charlotte. They finally went blue collar. I would say that is where every team needs to start to build a successful organization and franchise in terms of consistent gameplay. You got to have blue collar guys. You really, what you want is a superstar who has a blue collar mindset. Blue collar mindset means consistent, reliable, guys who do the little things, who are going to be in the gym working on their game, guys who are going to hit the weights, right? Have a nutritionist, right? Making sure that they're getting to the trainers early, doing the little, on court work and working on their stability and doing yoga in the off season and swimming and stuff like that, staying in great shape. LaMelo Ball has just never been that. And I think this year they're not going to be relying on him. They got Colin Sexton who could slide in, right? They've got Brandon Miller who's going to be healthy, right? Now they've got Con Knipple, right? Who I don't think he's going to be like this dominant all-star, but I don't think he's going to be a slouch. I think he's going to be a player. He's going to be a guy who comes in. He's going to be very Tyler Hero-esque. He's going to be like Tyler Hero without the flair. A little bit more dive on the loose ball, solid box out, but can still get you 18 in a game. And I think eventually close to 20, as Tyler Hero does today. I don't think he's as athletic as Tyler Hero. He doesn't have that kind of quick twitchy, but he has that kind of Jalen Brunson. Not I won't say Brunson. He kind of has that. He can move slower, but knows how to make it work for himself. I don't think he's ever going to be like a high level volume scorer. I don't think he's built that way physically. He's not athletic enough. He's not long enough. He doesn't have enough pop. Uh, but I do think he's going to be effective for a long time. And playing alongside of a Brandon Miller, having a Miles Bridges there and LaMelo and Colin Sexton, I think he's going to be effective. But when you look at the rest of that team that they brought in, what's his name? Sorry for all the ums in this. The guys that they drafted, Ryan Kalkbrenner, like him a lot. Sion James, like him a lot. Liam McNeely, I like him a lot. And those guys, along with Grant Williams and Josh Green, Yusuf Nurkic, man, they grabbed Pat Connaughton too. Man, talk about a blue. They just grabbed a bunch of what are all those stereotypical man, he's such a good guy in the locker room. He's a hard worker, he plays the right way. All those monikers that you would give towards, the white guy who's a gym rat and all that stuff, right? They got a bunch of those guys. I think Liam McNeely is one of those guys too, at 6'7", 6'8", who's going to be really good for them as well. I think that is a team that has a lot of potential, and they could turn things around as well. They could be a team that doesn't fall off when LaMelo has a bad ankle. That doesn't fall off if Brandon Miller or Miles Bridges is not playing consistent. They're going to have guys who can come in and play ball. They're going to defend. They're going to rebound. They're going to do the little things. They're going to force you to be great to beat them. I don't think they have the top end talent, especially because LaMelo Ball is not always healthy and Brandon Miller is still yet to step into that space. But they're going to have enough on this team to buoy them to where they don't have the drop off anymore. So they could be right there in the hunt as well. All that's to say is, I think going into next season, you're going to see a very competitive Eastern Conference. I love what a lot of these teams did this offseason. They've gotten deeper. They are starting to build teams to play the right way. And when I say the right way, I mean uh, team first basketball, winning basketball, right? Playing defense, a commitment to defense, moving the ball, not being heliocentric, um, and doing little things, getting back on defense, having high character guys who are going to play their roles at a high level, but it won't just be one guy. Like I felt like last year for Charlotte, they just had one guy, maybe Josh Green, out there trying to play the right way. Grant Williams gave up on that team early in that season. Like, man, ain't none of y'all playing the right way. What I look like out here doing all these little things that ain't nobody else doing them. So I think that team is going to have a culture shift that is really going to help them. When I look into the Western Conference, this is a stacked Western Conference, an absolutely stacked Western Conference. But I will say this about the West. I think they're going to be beating the hell out of each other. And by the time whatever team makes its way through that gauntlet and gets to the Western Conference finals, it's going to be 7-game series from the semifinals to the finals, or semifinals to the conference finals. By the time they get to the NBA finals, I think it's going to be anybody's series. It could very well be a Knicks or Cavs championship. I don't think the Pistons are quite there yet, but I'll say this much. They might surprise us and win 55 games. Right? I said I would hold my expectation until preseason. When I see that roster, that starting five out there, they might, if they've all taken that step, that leap, I might be like, hey, this is a 50 to 53 win team. And then they might even still surpass that. If they get up to like 55, 56, I'm going to say it could be one of those early breakthrough moments where you just have to take it. Say like, hey, we're here before we thought we would be here, and we're rolling. Because if everybody takes a jump, if everybody on the Pistons takes a jump, they might be right there. The right matchup in the playoffs, right? The Knicks were not a good matchup. Or I should say, we were not a good matchup for the Knicks. We gave them headaches. And if we had Ivy healthy, Asar fine-tuned, man, and this bench, I think we beat the Knicks. Don't let it be 2-3 Knicks versus Pistons rematch in a semifinals matchup. Bro, I'm betting on the Pistons. But let me know what y'all think. Where do y'all think that the Eastern Conference ranks? Put in the comment section after I post this, and we will discuss it there. I'll definitely, you know me. I always respond to people who, uh, you know, put their comments in the comment section, and we go back and forth. This is part 3 of my off-season assessment. Forgive the week off. It was my birthday last week, um, but I'm back. I'm gonna do another part 4 at preseason, and then I'll do a uh, season forecast right before the start of the regular season. Till then, it's your man 100 Grand Ross with the Rock Never Stops. I'm out. Please smash the like button, hit subscribe, and the bell for notifications so you can make sure that you're notified when I do the next live stream. These are always interactive. Sometimes I might do a live where I ask you to tell me what you want to talk about. Right? We do that very often. And you just tell me like, hey, yo, let's talk about what Portland's doing. They just grabbed Damian Lillard. Right? What do you think it's going to look like for them? Or the Phoenix Suns. I think there's another move that they're going to make because I think they're going to move Jalen Green the hell out of there. Right? I think they go a little bit younger, with Ryan Dunn in them. But who knows? Who knows? But let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what topics you want me to talk about next time, any ideas, and I'll use them as well. I often do. And I'm going to holler at y'all next time. Peace.